In a world unlike any other, where the trees were not just trees, where the forest was not just a forest, the ancient ones had faces, they had voices. They had lived for 1,000 years, and they watched over everything. This was the Tree Kingdom, a living world of ancient giants whose roots ran deeper than memory, whose branches touched the clouds. And within the forest, among the great ones, humans had built their village, small houses nestled between the mighty trunks, protected, sheltered, watched over. The trees smiled, because this was peace, this was home. But at the edge of the forest, a king had come, armored, crowned, hungry. His soldiers carried torches, and his eyes did not see beauty, he saw only conquest. The king of men stood on the ridge, rain fell around him, a warning. Dark clouds gathered over the mountains, lightning split the sky, but he did not move, he did not fear. Below him stretched the great forest, vast, green, ancient, alive, the most powerful kingdom in the known world, a kingdom of living trees. His soldiers stood behind him, shields raised, spears ready, blue and yellow, the colors of conquest. The king gripped his sword. This forest, he said quietly, will burn. And the storm agreed. Thunder rolled across the mountains, as if the earth itself knew something terrible was coming. Inside the forest, life continued, as it always had. The great trees stood tall, unwise, their faces calm, their expressions gentle, watching the village below. With ancient eyes, children walked the winding paths, families moved between the houses, smoke rose from the chimneys. The roots of the great ones stretched across the ground, like the arms of sleeping giants. Nobody knew, nobody could feel it yet, the darkness gathering at the edge of the world, the army marching closer, the torches being lit. The great trees smiled still, because they did not yet know that tonight everything would change. Fire, it came without warning, it came without mercy. The soldiers of the King of Men put into the forest, torches raised, and they set the ancient ones ablaze. The trees screamed, a sound the world had never heard before, the cry of 1,000-year-old soul. Burning branches reached toward the sky in agony, faces twisted in horror and pain. The fire leapt from trunk to trunk, devouring everything. The river reflected the orange sky, the green plants at the water's edge recoiled, and the humans who lived in the village, small dark figures against the inferno, ran. They ran, because there was nothing else to do. The world they had known, the world that had protected them, was burning alive, and the King of Men watched from the ridge and called it victory. But the forest was not finished. The army marched deeper, axes raised, torches blazing, horses charging forward. The king rode at the center, crowned and fearless, certain of his power, certain of his victory. They did not know, at the edge of the deeper forest, where the oldest trees stood, something was watching. One ancient face peered from the darkness, eyes heavy with sorrow, watching the soldiers march past, watching the smoke rise from the burning brothers. Leaves fell like tears. The great ones were not dead, they were not finished, they were deciding. And when an ancient tree decides to fight, the ground itself remembers. Then the forest roared, the ancient trees rose up, branches became weapons, roots burst through the ground like spears. The great ones swung and struck and grabbed, sending soldiers flying through the air. Fires burned everywhere, but the trees did not run from the flames. They fought through them. The battle was chaos, men against trees, axes against roots, torches against bark. 1,000 years thick, the soldiers of the king fell back, overwhelmed, as the forest came alive around them. Trees hurled rocks, trees crushed shields, trees wrapped their roots around the legs of horses. This was not just a forest anymore, this was an army, this was a kingdom, this was a people fighting for their home, and they were angry. From the heart of the forest, the oldest one rose. The ground cracked beneath her, the earth split open as her roots pulled free. Rocks flew into the air, lightning crashed in the sky above her, rain fell in sheets. Her face was fury, her eyes were fire, her bark was ancient armor scarred by centuries, unbreakable. She was the queen of the forest, the oldest living thing in the kingdom. She had stood in this ground before the King of Men was born, before his father was born, before his grandfather drew his first breath, and she had watched her children burn. She opened her mouth, and the sound that came out was not a scream. It was a war cry. The forest shook, the soldiers froze. The king, for the first time, felt something he had not felt in years: fear. In the deep heart of the forest, after the fire, after the battle, after the screaming stopped, the remaining trees gathered. Their faces were grave, some were scorched, Some were broken young saplings huddled against the older ones trembling at the center. The great elder spoke, his voice like wind through ancient branches, low, steady, unbroken around him. The others listened, small faces. Young faces, tree children who had never known war. Now standing in its aftermath, one small figure in yellow, a child of the forest, pressed against the elder's bark, eyes wide. Afraid, the elder looked down. The war has come to us, he said. We did not choose it, but we will not run from it. The forest has stood for 1,000 years. It will stand for 1,000 more, but first we must survive the night. Somewhere beyond the trees, the king of men was regrouping, sharpening his blades, counting his losses, planning his return. The forest war had only just begun. The forest burns, the ancient ones rise, the king retreats, but does not surrender. Season 2 is coming. Subscribe and don't miss what happens next.